Earlier in the programme, of course, we did suggest that maybe one of the topics Sue Menhenick would like to speak to your good self about, Katie, is whereabouts in Italy did you go? It's a possibility. But before we actually go there, first of all, we will welcome back with full force the legend that is Sue Menhenick. How are you, Sue?
I'm very well. How are you both? How are you, Katie?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much.
For holiday.
Oh, it was really lovely. Thank you so much.
Did you go anywhere near Lucca, where they have the fantastic shoe factories?
Now, Lucca was on our list of places we wanted to go, and we didn't get there, so I'm going to have to go back.
Definitely, if you like shoes. They've got wonderful places for handmade leather shoes, especially for ladies.
Oh, well, there you go. Who would have thought, on a show which has taken us from caring for rats right the way through to the small island games, through a whole heap of others. What can we add? Well, we can add a special little treat, little Easter egg, just for Sue. Because a few weeks ago, we were talking, as we do, on email, electronic conversation. Oh, the joys and witticisms that fly across the electronic minds there. It's phenomenal. It's like a whole new opening for me. And indeed, Sue. But we did actually say we were going to check out Jamie Anderson and do a whole range of other things. And Sue, being a key sort of fan, I think it's fair to say, of Parker, of course.
Most definitely.
Yeah, well, we thought, when we were speaking to David Graham, we'd sort of share these words, and it has gone up in a full version, and this is the response that he actually gave when we said just how much you appreciated his work.
Well, Sue, I hear you praised my work in the series called Thunderbirds, and I'm very grateful for your compliments. Cheerio.
There you are.
My heart's all aflutter.
I'll even put that as an MP3 and email it to you. You can use it as a ringtone if you wish. It's just a whole new one, and the fuller version, of course, you can go online and find out various other bits and pieces. But he doesn't do those kind of idents for anybody. When we said, David, can you do it as Parker?
I'm honoured. I'm absolutely honoured. Thank you so much for that.
Well, you know, if it's that other wine tasting, it's one of those two things. You know, it's different.
Yes, well, we heard about your quaffing of the vino. How did that go down?
Now you say that. I mean, as Rosie Hetherington, Neil Langhorne would obviously turn around and say, we don't drink alcohol and drive equipment for broadcasting at the same time. It doesn't happen. Sue suggested, well, you just carry on, you should spit it out. I said, we don't have a spittoon in the studio. To which she said, oh. And that's the kind of dynamism which is astounding. Katie, questions for Sue about life, the universe, generally now becoming an official Midweek drivette, which I think she's graduating to that routine. It's taken a couple of decades, but it's an important thing. Carry on.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you as a drivette.
Thank you.
Oh, what are you up to at the moment?
What am I up to at the moment? I've just come back from walking my dogs, which has been fantastic. I have 2 boxer dogs. I'm actually in the process of painting and decorating. I'm doing some very boring, mundane things. Talking to you guys again, which is always great fun. Lulu and I did an interview for a Channel 5 programme, which will be going out soon. Very brief interview. So little bits and pieces and all kinds of things in the pipeline.
Would that be young Lulu Cartwright then?
That would be very young Lulu Cartwright, yes.
You know, I always thought Bonanza. You know, I was thinking, she does look a bit like Little Joe, but it's not to be said in any way, shape or form. But, you know, always, in many ways, I thought, Lulu Cartwright, surely it's got to be some Bonanza connection there, you know.
No, not really. No, it's lovely Lulu from Legster and formerly Ruby Flipper.
Well, yeah, exactly, yes, of course. Yeah, for aficionados, of course, it was your good self, Lulu, and I believe Patty, who kind of transcended the whole sort of sequence and went through that whole basis. So, obviously, and great anticipation to see the Channel 5 stint in all sorts of ways when it emerges in perfect sort of form and harmony. We've just had a whole range of doggies at the Lincolnshire show. We had your hounds, we had your golden retrievers, we had so many things. And, of course, Sue, we had Sci-Fido, which, of course, was canines dressed as science fiction characters.
Oh, you're joking.
Would I jest with your good self, Sue? I mean, I know there's been a bit of a gap, but really, would I? Please. Katie has seen the photographs. They're up there on our Facebook site as well.
They are worth seeing. Oh, yes.
My word. Oh, my word. So who won the best dressed sort of superhero then?
Well, it was a dog that was a winner in previous years when he'd actually gone, I believe, as Princess Leia. Little Terrier. This time won it on the basis of the Starship Enterprise.
Okay. Okay.
The album is on our Facebook site, facebook.com/Southside Broadcasting. Sci-Fido, bang, it's all there. But, third year it's been running. Clearly, Louis Savvy, event director, would be saying, I'm remiss in my duties if I don't say, would your 2 little doggies be up for joining us in 2016?
I don't know if they'll be the best behaved dogs, but they certainly have a laugh. They're very bouncy, very affectionate dogs, and I think the worst thing they do is probably lick you to death. But they're great fun. They're great characters. I love them to pieces.
And if you had a choice, Sue, what characters from the world of science fiction would you actually like your doggies to be dressed up as?
Well, strangely enough, one looks like Yoda anyway, and the other one, if you put a towel over her head, looks like E.T. So I don't know if they count as superheroes, but they'd definitely be interesting characters.
It's funny you should say that, Sue, because Yoda came very close to actually winning the outright. I mean, I don't know, Katie, did you see the Yoda dog?
Was this the dog that was actually green?
It was the dog that was actually green, and in fact, the owner, as pointed out, that she actually tried it a couple of times to get the right level of greenness. It's probably safe. I mean, she does actually have a business in which she dyes dogs. Personally,
I hope she was green as well to support her pet.
Do you know, I mean, there was I thinking clearly it should be channeling the spirit of the Star Trek Orion slave girl. That should be in full place there. I didn't have the heart to push that on the interview, Sue, because sometimes you're in the middle of the interview, and even though you gave me such a heck of a good training back in the day, I sort of figured, no, I can't ask you. So are you going to get integrate? And it was Brixton, you know. So it's a dog show in Brixton outside the Ritzy Cinema.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now, Brixton, but when you actually sort of have the comper, who was actually the uniquely talented Bunny Galore, a drag artist who apparently does late night TV. I didn't want to pursue it any further, but she
more and more bizarre by the minute, Alex.
So I tell you, some of the sites over the years,
what Alex does with his free time.
Why, Katie Dorr, you've seen me set my arm on fire, and that's an arm I entirely. Oh, maybe we haven't. It was a stunt artist. Let us move on to, sci-fi in Brixton, people passing by saying, "The dog's got fleas, man." I don't know what to say. No, it didn't. The dog didn't have fleas. It had the Starship Enterprise on its back. You can't go around saying, "The dog's got fleas, man," and expect to get away with it, please. Sorry, as you can tell, I'm just channeling my sort of inner angst at this moment, Sue, and I appreciate that. Anyway, Katie, back to your good self. Quiz away.
Ballet Rumba.
Yeah.
We spoke about this last time I spoke to you, and I'm intrigued. Tell me more about it.
What, in terms of when I went to work with them?
Yes, please.
It was basically through a friend of ours. He was doing some choreography for us for the Legs Cabaret, and it was he's a soloist in the company, a gentleman called Michael Ho. And he was choreographing a routine for us, and we used the track from Japan, which was called Ghosts. And it actually transpired that it came out as a routine that was wonderful as a contemporary piece and a dance routine, but not quite suitable for commercial cabaret Legs and Co type thing. But through his connections at Ballet Rumba, they were doing a showcase, and he actually said he would like to include it within Romba's program of the show that week. So I was invited to go back and do that. And then another friend of mine used to work on a program back in the early 80s called Riverside, which went out on BBC Two. And it was sort of like the BBC's version of the South Bank show, and it was sort of more about art and music, and punk and new wave was very prevalent at the time. And it was very much a music review show. And through another friend, I've actually got to know the band Japan quite well, and Mick Kahn, who was actually working on a solo album at the time. And he wanted to do a piece specifically for Ballet Rumba. He was very interested in actually writing music for ballet, and decided that he would actually use the Rumba connection after having come to see me perform Ghosts with Ballet Rumba, and said, "I'm thinking of writing a piece. Would it be possible to maybe to get yourself and another dancer to actually choreograph a piece specifically for this bit of music?" Which we did. And it went out, and it was very, very different to the kind of things that I've been doing over the past years, and very, very contemporary. And you either liked it or you didn't. So I think people were sort of split between two camps, and it was called Passion in Moisture. And you can actually see it, I think, on YouTube, dare I say. And it is a very contemporary piece, and the music's very interesting. Sadly, Mick's no longer with us. He died a few years ago. But it was the start of some kind of enterprise and some work that he was really seriously considering, and he was doing very well with it. And again, as I say, for me, it was that curved ball of doing something completely different, and it was lovely to get back to, back to my roots, as it were, art for art's sake, if you want. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it went down quite well as well for the BBC's programme because it was all sort of about art and everything. So that's how that came about. And that was, again, choreographed by Michael Ho. And the other dancer that I worked with at the time was a gentleman called Icky Mass, who was a soloist. And I think he is now a choreographer as well in his own right. So that's how that happened.
And that's just part of the reason why I think really Arlene Phillips has been darned lucky that Sue Menhenick didn't actually fancy the jobs on various other sort of judging panels, because she would have wiped the floor with her. Just been looking at the Sci-Fido package there, and as you can see, in fact, would you like to describe that, Katie, for the benefit of Sue and our listener, of course, that you can work our way through that?
Go on.
There's
Go on, Katie.
a large black hairy dog
Yes.
who is Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And a small, extremely vivid green dog.
Chihuahua, I think it is.
Yeah,
Chihuahua.
who's very, very green.
Completely green.
In a brown Yoda cape.
Brown Yoda cape. There we are. And that's what you call pushing those broadcasting boundaries, Sue Menhenick, which,
Yes, we do. What I want to know, though, is, Katie, would you ever put Molly and Vela in for a competition like that, dressed as superheroes? And what would they be?
They wouldn't let me.
Also, a question, are yours your sort of communal garden rats, or are they fancy rats? Or is it fancy pants rats or fancy rats there are sometimes?
They are extremely fancy rats. Yes, they are. They are
So
proper
there is an
fancy
actual
rats.
breed, isn't there? But they're called fancy rats.
They are indeed, yes.
Oh, great. No, because Pauline from Legster, her daughters used to have some rats that were, I think, of the same breed. And they were very interesting. Quite big girls, I think they were. Are your two quite big?
No, they're quite dainty. They're a mere 200 grams each, bless them.
Oh, that's minuscule. Oh, all right. Okay. Very, very, very petite. Right. You let them have the run of the house?
No, they've got a big indoor aviary cage that's sort of the size of a big wardrobe.
Oh, lovely.
Something of a rat palace, and they're very spoiled. So.
Oh, lovely. And how are your relationships with people when you invite them round? Boyfriend take this?
I'm single. We can read into that what we would like, really.
So,
Say no more.
Love Katie, love her rats. That's the bottom line. It's good enough for Pete Shelley. Love me, love my dog. It's
probably better company with Katie anyway.
Oh, I couldn't possibly comment.
Very perceptive words of Sue there. As Rosie was right all those years ago, so she's very perceptive with Sue. She can go cut straight through the mustard and sort it out immediately. It's genius stuff there.
Play the shovel, Alex, you know me.
Well, and obviously you've been listening to the show as well.
My mum's kept saying she wanted to hear the pitter-patter of tiny feet, and I don't think this was quite what she had in mind.
Oh, I don't know. I can visualise. Actions on their feet, maybe, yes.
Some might say it was Fan Dabby Dozy, or in the Italian way it would be
San Gimignano.
San Gimignano. I'm going to get right on the phone to one of the composers who's worked extensively with the Crankies and say it's time we revitalised that system. We go San Gimignano. It'll be the next step forward. You can forget all the last days of Spit the Dog and getting soaked in Tiswas and various other stuff. Another line entirely. We will move on. We will take that to the new century. I still think Sue would be an ideal co-presenter with Chris Evans for the Top Gear thing.
Absolutely.
Not the way I drive.
It'll happen. It will happen. Moving on, final sort of piece. We are off to the Lincolnshire show again tomorrow. And then if people were sort of thinking, oh, yes, are you off to the National Portrait Gallery on Friday? No, we're actually not. We're putting that off until the 17th of July. So we'll have a little promenade around the National Portrait Gallery there. One of these days, Katie, we should invite Sue on one of our location reports.
Absolutely.
I'd like to do that.
I think we will work through that. And Sue, have you had a reasonably interesting telephonic link with us on the programme this evening?
I always have a very interesting time with you people, even if it's talking about rats and leather handbags and also talking to you, Alex.
Oh,
lovely. You're both very kind, and I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. It's been a good laugh.
Well, if you can't have a laugh, what is there to live for? It's the classic line. So I take it then you will join us again in the near future?
I would love to if you invite me. That would be very nice.
I think Sue Menhenick should return very soon indeed.
Most
yes,
definitely.
Exactly. We'll do that. Strangely, the ghost comes emerging out of its own way, and I think we've got that Japan David Sylvian sort of soul coming out now. So, Sue, we salute you. Take care very soon.
Take care. Bye, Katie. Bye, Alex.
Bye, Sue.